It was barely past 7 in the morning when I stepped out onto my porch, coffee steaming in my hand, cicadas humming somewhere out by the tree line, and that fog just hanging on the far side of the pasture like it didn't know where else to go. The dogs were on edge, ears up, dead silent, all eyes fixed past the woods, which, let me tell you, is never a great sign when you've got 40 acres of your own and a healthy suspicion of anything wearing orange that isn't a hunting vest. I followed their gaze and, sure enough, caught a flicker of movement near my northern fence. 3 guys, high-vis vests, hauling tripods and a tablet, marching across my land like it was a Sunday stroll at the county park. That's when the hair on the back of my neck went up. I set my mug down, grabbed my drone controller. Never thought I'd be one of those guys, but here we are, and sent the bird up to get a closer look. The live feed didn't lie. They weren't just walking. One dude was kneeling and hammering survey stakes, right next to my bright yellow markers from 6 months ago. Another had a ground GPS, one of mine, dragged off the line like it was a lost football. I didn't bother with pleasantries. I hopped in the truck, and by the time I rolled up, they had tape stretched, GPS unit repositioned, and all the posture of people who figured I was just going to stand there and let them rewrite my property lines. "Gentlemen," I called out, voice as steady as I could manage. "You've got about 10 seconds to explain what the hell you're doing trespassing on private land." The leader, older guy, too much beard, clipboard clutched like a badge, turned and gave me the kind of grin you usually reserve for bad car salesmen. "We're with the Wisteria Dunes Planning Committee, just doing a reassessment, land integration, boundary clarification, nothing personal. Administrative maintenance." "Oh, administrative maintenance, sure." I asked if they had a warrant, any kind of paperwork, court order, maybe just a really convincing fake ID. The guy hesitated just long enough for me to catch him in the lie. I told them, plain and loud, "Shut it down, pack it up now." They tried the old, "HOA manages this area" routine, but I cut them off, flipped open my phone, started recording. "This is parcel 1297, Milton Infrastructure Services, title back to 1948. 5 seconds to clear out, or I call the sheriff. You want charges for tampering, marker removal, equipment theft." They scattered like cockroaches under a flashlight, and I followed them in my truck right up to the boundary, watching them slip back into that sterile grid of HOA houses just east of my land, all asphalt driveways and plastic mailboxes, a parasite on the edge of my pasture. Back at the house, I docked the drone, dumped the footage, triple-synced GPS logs, archived the whole mess. This was an amateur hour. My land was mapped, surveyed, inspected, built on bedrock with permits signed, and stamped so many times the paperwork probably glows in the dark. I designed that house myself, modern, self-sustaining, solar arrays, and a wood stove for when the power goes out, because it always does. The land? 40 acres of mixed forest, ridge, and slope, every inch of it mine and nobody else's. So imagine my mood the next morning, mailbox barely opened, when I find a cream envelope, Wisteria Dunes embossed on the front like they're sending me a wedding invite. Inside, a letter that somehow manages to be both threatening and condescending. "Dear Mr. Milton," they inform me, politely, that following a recent re-examination of historical property lines, their records now indicate a portion of my house extends into HOA jurisdiction. 30 days to vacate, demolish, or transfer full ownership and access for consideration. Yeah, consideration. I nearly spit my coffee. The kicker? Failure to comply could mean administrative escalation, permits pulled, or outright seizure under local statutes. Let me back up a sec. This is the part where you realize you're not just dealing with paperwork. You're in a war, even if nobody's fired the first shot. I'm not just some stubborn landowner. This is what I do for a living: cadastral audits, infrastructure inspections, drone mapping. I see scams all the time. But this was personal and clumsy, but the kind of clumsy that gets dangerous if you let it go. First thing I did, I called Colin, my lawyer, ex-military, ex-prosecutor, a guy who eats paper pushers for breakfast. He reads the letter, doesn't even crack a smile. "This smells like someone's building a paper trail for a land grab." No kidding. I dove into my archives, raw GPS logs, drone footage, FAA records, original survey overlays, county filings, you name it. Everything still matched, boundaries unchanged for 74 years. But then I pulled the map the HOA had filed to justify their claim, and my blood went cold. It looked real, state-licensed, signatures, watermarks, but their lines had shifted. Suddenly, the northeast corner of my foundation was straddling a green zone that, funny enough, never existed until a few weeks ago. Here's where it gets good. Old drone footage, 6 weeks back, catches 2 of their crew, same high-vis vests, pulling my marker and hammering in a new one, right before the HOA filed their new map. Gotcha. And then, out of nowhere, my old friend Tanya from the planning department calls. Off the record. Jared, your name's come up. HOA's filed action. Says there's a municipal utility corridor cutting across your lot. A what now? Maintenance corridor? Total fiction, but they're using it to question my permits. Tanya just sighs. They're reverse engineering your zoning. Keep your records tight. Now, I'd kept every original marker, sensor log, even buried beacons I set around my house. Way more than the average homeowner ever bothers with. I fired off a dispute notice to the county, a request for state investigation, attached every timestamped log and drone clip. Ran a forensic scan on the HOA's map. Turns out, every fake overlay was added by software registered to Caleb Hatcher, husband of Karen Hatcher, the HOA president herself. They weren't even subtle. Within days, a white envelope's taped to my gate. Inside, a glossy brochure for the Wisteria Dunes East Expansion Initiative. Their dream walkway runs right through my machine shed. The survey? In partnership with Horizon Mapping Solutions, a shell company, single web page, owned by Caleb Hatcher. You see the pattern yet? Then the calls start. Not my neighbors, Wisteria Dunes residents. Some already buying the pitch, some cash buyers offering to help me make a smooth transition. They think I'll fold. Instead, I launch a website, hoaxpose.org, dump everything I've got, video, timelines, uncut drone footage, GPS overlays, screenshots, side-by-side map comparisons. One video goes viral, slow mo of their surveyor yanking my stake and planting a new one 16 feet off. Within a day, the local press calls. This isn't overreach. This is criminal. I file complaints everywhere, Land Surveyor Board, State GIS, Attorney General, you name it. But the best crack comes from inside. Encrypted email, burner account. Check the HOA hearing minutes from March. Turns out, the original drafts are still public if you know where to look. There's Karen Hatcher, clear as day. Prepare preliminary mapping to reflect corrected lines. Not for public release until new survey markers are in place. Not a coincidence. I send it to Colin, the county, the paper, and publish it for the world. The next morning, a letter from a big city law firm lands in my box. Defamatory misrepresentation, cease and desist, will pursue damages. I archive it, file a counter notice, CC every agency I can think of. That's when the threats start for real. Anonymous calls. You're making enemies in the wrong places. You know what I mean? That's when you know you've got him scared. Right about then, I get a call from Scott Miller, former HOA treasurer. Never liked the guy, but I didn't expect him to break ranks. He brings a flash drive, says he copied everything off Karen's laptop before she locked him out. Raw map drafts, internal memos, one titled Phase 2 Leverage and Legal Isolation, detailing how they'd reclassify my land, force inspections, drain me with complaints. Even listed my permits, marked find vulnerabilities, noise, septic, runoff. These folks weren't just after my land. They wanted to strangle my ability to live here. I shot it all to Colin. Within 48 hours, the Attorney General's office opens a land fraud investigation. County inspectors show up, looking to nitpick my house. I bury them in documents, permits, blueprints, GPS logs, you name it. They walk away without a word. Meanwhile, my site blows up with other landowners sharing stories. Same survey crew, same phantom corridors, same HOA tricks. One woman, Darlene Sanchez, admits she got pressured into signing away 15 feet of her yard. Now she's lawyered up. Class action forms, and suddenly Karen's empire is crumbling from the inside out. Scott comes through again, sends us a Zoom call recording. Karen telling Caleb, once we redraw the boundary, nobody checks history. Paper beats drone in court. I make that the banner on my site. Next day, a cinder block barricade appears on my driveway. Big, gray, bolted to the gravel. Temporary access control, Wisteria Dunes maintenance project. I don't touch it. I call the sheriff. Deputy looks at it, shakes his head. Want to tow? I tell him, no, it's evidence. That night, they dump oil on my road, flip off my camera, then surgically shred my mailbox. I file reports, install trail cams, but I don't lose sleep. Then they go digital. Someone cuts a video to make me look like the lunatic, yelling at volunteers. Karen reposts it. We must stand together against dangerous individuals. I just post the full, uncut drone video with audio. Shows their crew trespassing, ripping markers, joking about fixing Milton's boundary problem the old-fashioned way. Subtitled, zoomed in, timestamped. Then, I add a drone recording of Karen and Caleb in their backyard. Once we get that permit pulled, he'll fold. Send it to county, post it online. The tide turns. Suddenly, HOA members, even board folks, are emailing me. We were lied to. You were right. Hearing day, packed courtroom, county flag, press, residents, my lawyer Colin looking like a shark in a suit. I take the stand with drone footage, GPS logs, map overlays, internal memos, the whole shebang. Defense tries the usual. This could be faked, no consent, but Colin eviscerates them with chain of custody and 3 independent surveys. They don't even cross-examine. Scott testifies, confirms the whole plan, the pressure, the fraud. Then, the state prosecutor lays out criminal charges, forgery, document tampering, abuse of authority. Judge finds in my favor, full restitution, legal fees, cease and desist for the HOA. Karen gets 14 years, no parole for 9. Caleb loses his license, firm dissolved, county audits every map he ever touched. HOA's bankrupt within a month. Board resigns, residents demand dissolution. I just drive home, up my clear driveway, past the spot where the barricade stood, past the trail cams and sensors, under a sky that, for once, doesn't feel like it's watching me. County auctions offer claimed land. I buy 7 acres, put up a cedar sign. Welcome to Freehold Ridge. No HOA, no exceptions. A month later, Louise, the whistleblower, sends me a bottle of bourbon and a bumper sticker. Drone more, paper less. I laugh so hard I nearly spill my drink. That summer, I host a cookout. No sign-up sheets, no HOA flyers, just ribs, firewood, music in a mason jar, neighbors, ex-residents, journalists, and even Scott. Someone brings a Karen piñata full of fake citations and mini tape measures. And standing there, with the land finally quiet, the kids laughing, the brisket smoking, I realize this is how it's supposed to be. No paper tiger, no HOA overlords. Just freedom, a little justice, and a damn good story. So tell me, after all that, what's your take? Where's the line between order and overreach? When does a community protect itself, and when does it just become another bully with better stationery? Drop a comment. Let me know your own HOA nightmares, or maybe your small victories. Because if there's one thing I've learned, sometimes you gotta draw the line yourself.